guys, so I'm hoping to get some video today. I've been messing with this more and more because, again, thank you to Raceworks and TI Performance, we're getting this a little bit of a revamp. I'm just doing some last things before I decide to take out this A340 transmission. We're going to be putting in this ISF transmission and taking out this. So this is the same transmission that's in the car, but you see the size difference. Look at that little guy versus that. Now this doesn't have a bell housing on it, but you can just see the physical side. 8-speed and a 4-speed auto. Now, personally, in my opinion, it's all about what you're doing, but I want to prove it out. Again, there's a gentleman out in, I want to say, God, I got to see where Sean's actually at. But anyways, he's out in the Midwest there. I'll link his company here too, who's been doing a lot of the setup for this. I originally sent him all like the pinout and stuff, and he's been going ham with a K24 and an RX-8 using an ISF transmission with a Ford rear end. Hodgepodge car, and I love it. So he's been doing a lot of testing, which is awesome, and it's all through a Haltech Nexus R3, I believe he's using. But the one thing I'm saying is it's very convenient. Like the transmissions are very similar for the Prindle and all that stuff. I've talked about this already, so I'm not going to dwell on that. What I'm saying is I want to try and prove this transmission a little bit more. I've been doing shift points, doing where it needs to shift at, how it should feel, whether it's in manual, auto mode. This way, when I do take it out, it's not like, well, like, that's all done now. Like, I just didn't push it enough. Like, I want to make sure I have enough logs, information, that if someone asks for, like, yeah, man, I've got all this stuff here. If you ever need something for an R5, like, yep, here's everything you do to get an A340 shifting right. If you need paddles, if you need this, you need that. I have it all set up. I can send you that or send it to Haltech. So like, here you go. This is a cookie cutter setup. This will just work for you. Just make life easy for other people out there. So playing with it. The biggest thing I'm doing right now though is the line pressure and everything's good, but it's a stock transmission. What I'm doing is kind of pushing it. So on ED5, this car was originally only set up for 13 PSI. Currently at like 1920, and I keep pushing it up. Now, I'm not doing first to second pulls. I'm putting it in manual mode, starting in second gear and letting the car hammer, and only doing second to third. Fourth you don't use, so it's only one shift you're really doing. So, and I don't even have to really make that shift. I'm just trying to see how the car feels, but right now it feels amazing. Like honestly, it's wild how good the car feels. I didn't realize how slow it was before until obviously I had that, but having an auto and doing, you don't have to worry about shifting. It's pretty awesome. And again, with paddles, I don't even have to put my hand off the steering wheel. I like that. I can click it, because the only difference is when you watch like some of Pedro's old videos where he would go from like, I guess it would be low to second to drive. It'd be just be first, second, third. He has to physically take his hand off. Not a big deal, but I like being able to keep my hands there, boom, boom, and up on the gauge cluster there, I can see which gear I'm in. And then I can obviously turn it off to not shift into fourth either, because that's where people usually make a mistake by accidentally shifting to fourth and blowing up the transmission, because realistically, you can only use it as 3-speed. Now, that all being said, I've been pushing it more and more, and I'm curious how much power it can take till it falls on its face, or we have some real issues. Again, stock block, not putting a lot of timing in either. I'm just shoving boost in it, making sure the VE fuel map's okay, and then just doing a little bit of trimming. Like the basic of basic right now. And the car just feels so much better. It's waking up so much more. Like to get 20 PSI, I only have to run that Mac valve at 20 PSI right now. Again, it only has a 13 PSI spring in it. I only have to run it at like 18%. It's wild. I don't really have to give it much for it to actually work and keep that gate slam shut. Pretty efficient manifold setup from Artec. Thank you, Ben, again, for sending this over. Again, I made that last manifold video. All these manifolds are pretty amazing. I've talked about this before too, not just manifolds, intake manifolds, ECUs. 2023 here now, it's crazy how good everything works. It used to be taboo to run electric fans or aftermarket alternators. All that stuff, for the most part now, has all been worked out and is not a thing anymore. You know, electric fans have been proven over and over again to be way better than mechanical, and they're less strain on everything else because it doesn't rob horsepower. And in my case, I have this thing shut off over a certain mile per hour. This way, you know, if I'm racing during that 10-second time period that I'm racing, right, the fans are off. And the second I go off that, or it comes down a certain speed, they kick back on. Why rob, you know, force all the electrical system to work harder when it doesn't need to? Again, this is all stuff that we didn't have before. It used to be you kick the car on, fans would come on, you had to have a mechanical switch inside where you turn it on and off. Don't have that anymore. Your ECUs are intelligent. All this stuff can be 100% thought free. You don't have to do anything. It's wild. But again, we're working on shifting. I want to get the car out here, take some video in it, just to show you guys how it's looking and working. Oh, one other thing, this let me set it on the side of the road. So I was doing some testing for Autotech Engineering here. They wanted to test which pins need to go in here. As you can see here, I've got this pin here, 1 and 2, and they wanted to see which ones were correct because they had some customers saying they were the opposite. Not sure why, but they did. So we were testing it there. I forgot to plug that in, and because it didn't have the 12-volt sensing, this wasn't charging, and the car was running 100% just off the battery. So yeah, that was my fault. I didn't like that, so I couldn't jump the car. I had to charge the battery up, wait till it got to 12 volts again before I could start it. You're not supposed to jump these alternators or jump start them. So I had to wait till it got to 12 volts and then start to fire the car back up, and everything was fine then. But left me along the road because I'm an idiot. And on top of that, didn't know this. If you do that, my car went into a fail-safe, not fail-safe, but alarm mode, and the car, literally, the alarm went off, everything. I'm like, what the hell is going on? Well, the car wouldn't start after that. I would check the fuses, checking this and that, and I call Jose randomly, I'm like, dude, I've done all this, and he's like, dude, I don't know either. And then I literally brought up, like, hey, the alarm went off, like, I'm trying to think, maybe that has something to do with the alarm. He's like, try on, like, literally, just, it's nice to have someone else just to talk to for 2 seconds. Like, just try locking, unlocking the door. Boom, that fixed it. It's one of those things you could try everything, but when you're in that pinch and you're just not thinking of that very last thing, it's wild how that works. So yeah, literally lock the door, unlock the door, got back in, turn the key on, boom, car fired right up. Wild how that works. Another thing I'm going to do when this is all down, we're replacing a lot of fittings here. As you can see, a lot of these Red Horse fittings here are starting to really brown. Same here, they're really starting to discolor. I'm not sure why they are. Again, I'm told sunlight is actually harsher on anodizing than physical heat, believe it or not. Which is just, again, seems crazy. Now, heat can cause it too. It's just dumb things like that, but you can see here, like this Tarks is fine here, but this is Tarks and Tarks, but it's starting to brown on this one and not this. Why? I have no idea. That makes no sense, but you can see it's physically happening. Weird, but oh well. But something like this intake manifold is not powder coated. Okay, this isn't. This is all anodized, and it's held color extremely well. But my old one started to turn like a greenish brown color. Again, it's all in the anodizing process. Some's good, some's bad. It's just weird how that works. So I wanted to come over here. Hopefully it can get close enough, but this is the stuff I've been changing. Just going through my closed loop boost targets again. Thank you to Alex over at Absolute Driven Performance. He's based out of North Carolina, Supra shop. He was helping me a ton, and now I feel a little bit more comfortable making all these changes. And this car, I've been doing it myself now. Where my 6-speed car, he helped me tremendously. So I just had to fix a bunch of stuff. One, I wanted to zero this out because the Mac valve, from the minute you keyed the car on, it was seeing, even if it was below or in vacuum, it was seeing it needed to be on. So I zeroed that out so the Mac valve's not clicking all the time and running. Again, that burns up the Mac valve. And then I just did basic. This is a percentage amount. This isn't a boost amount here. This is your boost, your pressure up here, and this is just a percentage of duty cycle you're running the Mac valve out to reach your boost pressure over your desired RPM here. 9 times out of 10, you won't have this perfect 24, 26 going up like this, but in my case, it works out perfect that if I put 19 here, as I go up, it only needs 19 and it's holding the whole way. Usually down here, you'll have less, and as you go up, you need more pressure. As the car spins harder and harder, you usually need more pressure from the Mac valve to keep that gate slammed shut. In my case, it's been working so efficiently, I haven't had to do that yet. Now again, I'm only shooting for that 1921 right now, but I do have it set up to go up to 24 PSI, and I think I'm gonna stop there, as the car probably needs tuned for other things, so on and so forth. Now it has 85 in it. I'd rather just be on a dyno. I say that, and the transmission is the biggest thing. If it had a built trans in it, I'd be pushing way up here. I can go way over, so on and so forth. Then I also have my closed loop target pressure, so this is based off my BTI. Originally had this going from like 11 up to level 5 was 19, but I changed that now to 19 here, and I'm going to use these 2 targets to test with. So this is an easy way for me to test. I don't need to have my laptop or anything with me. I have the ECU set up that it logs all the time, and if I put it on level 5, I'm going to go out, hammer on the car, run it to redline, and see how that does. Then put it down to level 4, hammer it, see how it does there, see how it holds or gets to 21 or 23 PSI. I know 19's good now. I just want to test to see if the other ones are okay. Just as an easy way, if you don't want to carry your laptop with you, or if you don't, or if you have a tuner, this is something the tuner can do to help you out. Like, hey, instead of sending multiple back and forth, you can set up multiple different scenarios in this case of like, okay, let's log this one, and this one, and see where we're at. And that should get you pretty darn close. Now, you also have ignition timing, you also have fuel trims you have to do, so on and so forth, but it depends. Right now, my Lambda target has been on point, and I've been very, very fortunate, so I've barely had to do anything, which is great. Other things I did was adjusted the drive-by-wire. So where's it at here? So my drive-by-wire originally calibration pedal. This was originally set up that 100% was only at 100, but what I noticed is I was only getting to like 94, 95, so it wasn't 100% open throttle. So I've changed it to anything over 85% throttle is 100% now. And I adjusted some of these down here to give it a little bit better pickup and stuff, because what I thought was giving it more wasn't just giving it enough. The pedal just wasn't, I wasn't hammering it hard enough. And with drive-by-wire, it can be a little weird, so it's better to, anything over 85% throttle now is 100%. If you're putting the gas down that far, the car should be wide open throttle going at it. So just little changes like that. And again, Haltech makes it super easy, and it gives you little instructions down in the corner. So yeah, like even for the closed loop duty cycle, it tells you exactly what you're doing, what it's based off of, target pressure, what this is. And you also have your fuel composition. So 23, like if I'm on level 5, and I'm above, I think I have it above 60%, it'll shoot for 23. But if I get down to 20, I changed it here to make it super basic, that the highest target it can go then is 18 PSI. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. It can't go any higher than that if you're at this level. And I just did this very generic because I very rarely run 93 pump gas, but just have this very base setup. I could actually make this 18 too, it doesn't matter, but just this very basic setup. All right, but enough of the jibber jabber. Let's go out and test this thing, put the hood down. Got me an Anzo energy drink right now too. Check them out. Sit that there. Holy cow, look at that thing. Goodness gracious. Oh my God, some super guy out there is having a heart attack. I just did that right now. It's the only downside. I'm too close to this wall. Get my auto extrude cup holder. America. Look at them Juncy panels. This is like a giant advertisement the way I'm talking right now. It's like that, what's the movie? Dang, I'm trying to think of it, where it has guy lives his whole life in like a bubble pretty much, and everyone around him knows it's a TV show. Can't think. Truman. It's like, oh, we're promoting this and this. So shut up now. You know, I'm just promoting stuff randomly, like this Galaxy Motorsports beautiful forged carbon fiber steering wheel with flappy paddles on it. You know, I never do in-car videos like ever. I just don't do them. Very rarely do I do them. See how she turns on. What's my voltage? Again, voltage was the big thing yesterday there. Analog. What, Ryan? Damn it. Now, Ricky Bobby, I swear to God, I should just kick myself in the nuts. Nooks. 12. See if you can see it here, guys. So we got 12. And again, I love this. They just call it the diagnostic page, which shows like a ton of stuff. Stuff you really don't care about, a lot of it. But a lot of it is good too. So I'm going to go back though. Go back to this. That there. And this is my favorite one. Again, for gear, but that's how she fires up. Oh. I need to adjust cold start. Well, I got that in the log again. I have it logging 24/7 there. Old girl was not happy starting. Too much fuel. Look at the target versus, look at that. Oh my God, I had way too much fuel. I need to take some fuel out of it. Good Lord. Lord have mercy, that is bad. Damn! Right. It's a weird angle. I'm not sure how else to do this. I'm not using my GoPro either. I'm using my quote unquote good camera, I guess we'll call it. So see how this goes here. Got my sweet Singleton. Every time I go in the reverse to it, always kicks like a mule like that. If anyone's got any suggestions for that, please let me know. And yes. Turn the AC on fucking hot, man. Hopefully it doesn't mess up the audio. My fat ass needs AC. I don't know how people remove that shit. I don't get it. I guess if you live in a cold climate, but or if you don't have an actual street car, but shift on its own. I'm not going to touch the paddles, nothing. Right now it stays in second. If I wanted to, I hit this button here, puts me in manual mode. This could work, but I got to do a bunch of stuff to get it to work. Currently I would actually have to repin everything, because right now it's off a 5-volt like switch setup, so it goes to a secondary box that has 12 pins off a DTM connector to allow me to free up more pins on my Nexus R5, which is good, but to get manual mode and physically work off this, which is a momentary switch and not a latch switch, I would have to put it to the physical ECU, because there's nothing to tell it to that box that, hey, this is latched on, since this is momentary. So it kind of sucks. Even though the Haltech itself has latch, it's only in the ECU. That box only registers like, okay, it sees the voltage for this location, meaning that it can see a voltage of me doing this and this in it, right? Because it's a physical latch switch. Where momentary, it sees it go into, say, so if it's 5-volt range, say it goes to 2 volts, right? But when I let off it, it goes back to 0. So it doesn't see it holding it, so it doesn't know to stay in that. If that makes sense. But, whew, I changed that drive-by wire. Oh yeah, that's way better. That's way better. I had to fucking lean on this thing so much before to do anything. That's how it should feel. That's so much better. It was too weak. It just didn't do anything. You can see it kicks a little bit. Yeah, I mean, it's... Turn the AC off here now, we're moving. It's actually kind of nice. Hopefully my window being down doesn't kill the audio for this, but I wanted you guys to be able to hear everything. But I got that window up, of course. We'll put it in manual mode here, so if I do this, you can hear it kick down. That's third gear right now. And if I hold it in that, it'll stay in that gear now. Ooh, I love that noise. Lord have mercy. And again, having the manual mode is nice, and just do it off the paddle. Man, this 6870 Precision, this is a Gen 2. Like, I can see it there. Now, this reads a little high, my tachometer here. I realized that watching videos back versus what the ECU was seeing. I was hitting that 1920 PSI at like 4,200. But depending how much you lean on it, depending how much resistance you have. So going uphill, I can most likely hit that target sooner and faster because I have more physical resistance by going uphill. I can load the turbo up, everything gets loaded up. Going downhill, it would take more RPM to get that same boost target. That makes sense, guys. So turn here. The one thing I want to do is this too, hold on. Now watch how long it takes. This thing just wants to go. It just wants to go. I mean, just listen to it. It just wants to go. It is wild. I absolutely love this. So much better. I'm so glad. Thank you again to Alex for teaching me this stuff. There's other people too. I want to thank Joe over at Dula Design. He helped us a ton because neither of us really knew much about it. Nick Sisowitz over at Howtech itself has helped me for years, but now that I'm able to finally tinker with this more and more, I watch all these videos, I feel so much happier that like when something's off, I don't just go, well, I just deal with it. Now it's, hey, let's make the changes and make the car better. Oh my God, so much better. But the one thing I wanted to say there, sorry guys, got off subject. See, it downshifts, but it takes too long. The one thing I constantly forget, especially when you're stopping, there's other people around, is I want the car to get forced back to first gear, right? So if I come to a stop, I'm under, say, 10 miles an hour, it knows no matter what, click it, and click it, slow. It forces the car back to first. Why? I forget a lot of times. I'll be like stopping, like not paying attention or whatever. It's a mental thing. Again, I want the ECU to do as much work as I can for me. They have an option to shift to first, but it's more of a drag racing option. I've been trying to work with Nick for it. There's got to be a way to do it, right? There's got to be a way that I can get that to work. If anyone has suggestions, or if you know of a tuner that's done it, I would like to know of a good solution for that. We'll put it back to auto mode here. Now it's going to switch one more time to fourth gear. And now it's an overdrive. And we'll put the window up now because that wind noise has got to be brutal. Turn a little bit of AC on. There we go. Oh, bump. Got some little bit of rattles and stuff in here too. I don't think this door's even shut. It's not. Now it is. One other thing, the door sensor doesn't work on this. Oh, that was weird. Car dropped there heavily. Let me check something here, guys. Huh. Nope. Seems all right. Might have just been a mental thing. Weird. What was I gonna say? Dang it! Now I forgot my train of thought. Dang gone ADHD. Some bullshit. I tell you what, Jimmy. All right. Yeah, it's good now. Dang it! I forgot what I was gonna say. I'll watch this video back, and like this will be a pure moment of me recording myself and literally just talking about something, and I finally got it recorded. That's kind of awesome. I'll be able to see what I was trying to say, and within what 15, 20 seconds, I forgot. That's how bad it is. Being diagnosed with it sucks. Anyway, what else did we go over? Boost is better at 6870. It's just everything about this is just so good. Now, when I talk to Alex, he's a huge fan of the 6466. He's like, that's an even better turbo. It hits even harder. And with these new next gens coming out, you can keep going smaller and smaller and get better spool, and you get the same horsepower. It's nuts. Like this 6870 is rated for 1100, which is crank, guys, not wheel. It's crank. But the new ones coming out, like they have that new 7275, which used to be rated for 1200. That's rated at 1380. My 7675 is only rated for 1300 on a Gen 2. That's still a lot of power. The difference is though, it makes 80 more horsepower and you get better spool because you're downsizing the inducer wheel. Like it's bananas. With the competition, cars keep getting more and more and more efficient. It is just wild to me. I love it. And then again, tuning wise here, like the car feels just a few changes. And again, I have spool up on now, so it's forcing the gate shut. The moment it sees above 0 PSI, or the moment it's out of the negative, it's automatically slamming the gate shut to make sure it's not wavering at all, meaning that there's no way it's leaking. It's making sure it stays shut. Even though I have a 13 PSI spring, as you get close to that 13 PSI mark, you'll get 8, 9 PSI. It's starting to slowly creep open. Where I have it set up now, it has a spool and it stays shut until it gets right before that that moment of opening, and the Mac valve turns off and that gate just slams open. So it waits that very last second, so you hit your target instantly. It's just, it is awesome. Right now I'm going like 50, and I'm at, well, that says 2800. So not bad at all. Again, this is only a 4-speed auto with a factory gear set in it. It's a 376 factory, well, this is an Aristo diff, but the same as the twin turbo diff in the car. Very much the same. Very much drives the same. Yeah, so click this on again. You can hear that road noise. I took the trunk cover out. Should have put that back in. It's amazing how much road noise that, it's a thick trunk cover I have in there. It's amazing how much that dampens everything. Again, I'm downshifting using the paddles here because I'm on these back roads here in my town. Not going crazy. Click again. Now again, I'm excited for the ISF just to keep it in that power band all the time. I think 8 gears is a little overkill. Realistically, I only need 6 of them. So the 2 extra gears, I don't really plan on ever using. I plan on using it as pretty much a 6-speed auto for the most part. I might eat my words later on. I'm gonna keep this rear end in it for now, and eventually I'm gonna switch it, I think, to like a, I think it's a GS 300? I think it's like a 326 rear end. So I get even longer out of each gear, but don't want to go too long that it gets completely useless. So I'm just trying to figure out which is best. All right, let's give this a shot here. I'm going to downshift. And like I said, I'm going to hammer it here, get everything else off. Looks like it peaked at 20 that time. Not bad, not bad. That was on level 3, which should have been 19, but it looks like it's peaking a little early. So I might have to look into bringing that down a little bit, but that'll help me figure out the boost levels just above it. So that's fine, I'm good with that. Curious how the line pressure, I want to see, this has a input and output shaft speed. I'm curious how they would differentiate from each other. Helps you to determine if you're having torque converter slip and stuff. So I'm curious how that looks. Again, I don't plan on hammering on it constantly like that, just because it's not good for it. What's my temp at? Only at 150 degrees on the trans temp. After all that driving and stuff, I have that crap there. I have the Powerhouse Racing. Oh shoot, trans cooler in the car. It's phenomenal. Oh my god! So glad I fixed this. This is so much better. Oh my god. Yeah, my wife got to drive the car here to Cars and Coffee. She said the car, literally the reason I'm doing this, oh, this is something I can put in here. The biggest reason I'm doing this stuff is my wife said, is there 2 things? She's like, is there something wrong with it? I said, no. Number 2 thing, she says, why is it so slow? I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, why is it so slow? AK, it doesn't have any pickup. She doesn't floor the car. She just wants it to get up and go. And driving it, I didn't realize how bad it was till now. Just fixing the drive-by-wire pedal some here to give it a little bit more oomph so I don't have to feel like I'm leaning in it so much. I gotta put the window back up. To feel like I'm leaning in it so much, she was right. Like, man, it was horrible. You really had to like hammer in it. The other thing this car really needs is camshafts. Bad. It really needs camshafts badly. I'm looking at I just can't decide on a 264 or 272. I don't want this crazy lumpy thing. I don't want it to be completely shifted to the right. So I'm really curious if I should do like a 264 to just help me just get enough so it doesn't fall off and reach like a 7,500 RPM red line. It's a stock block right now. I would like to just get it to pick up a little bit better. Because right now I know going to redline, the cam and stuff, the profile is probably dropping off. I'd have to look at old dyno sheets. It's most likely dropping off at 6,300, 6,400. It's just a cam profile, it's just not there. So I'd like to try the BC 264 or the 272. I just can't decide. It's a VVTi head, so I want to keep that utilization of the VVTi. So by going too big of a cam, you can really destroy that. So that's where I feel like the 264 is ideal. Give me just enough up top, but not kill my low end. And I already got a stupid fast car that's manual. I don't want to make this too bad that I can't enjoy it anymore.